Hello, my name is Pastor Kathy Kollar. I'm the pastor of Pleasant Valley Lutheran Church near Malabar Farm State Park and St. Paul Lutheran Church in Lucas, Ohio. Greetings. We're reading through the Bible with commentary, and we are in the book of Job. And I'm hoping to cover a lot of chapters today, except I noticed yesterday I had a lot to share about the book of Job. It's spelled Job, it's pronounced Job. And also shout out to Tom and Peggy, who I saw this morning, and it was very cool to see what this looks like on a large screen. So hi, Tom and Peggy. There's a little bit of a lag between when it's recorded and when it actually gets posted to YouTube. So we're in the book of Job, and Job at the very beginning is prosperous and doing well, and Satan, which is Hasatan, is not this evil thing. It's not good and evil. It is the accuser. It's like the prosecutor. It's the person who comes and says, yeah, what about this one? And God says, well, yeah, they're awesome. And Satan says, well, that's because everything's wonderful for Job. So they take away all the riches, all the animals, all the children. All 10 of his children die in one day. And it's so awful. His friends come and sit with him for a week. Oh yeah, and before that, Satan's like, see? And God is like, see? And Satan's like, well, you didn't take away his health. So they took away his health, and now he's got sores all over his body, which he's scraping with a piece of pottery. So he's pretty miserable. And his friends came and sat with him for a week without saying anything. That is the one thing that they get absolutely right. When there is unspeakable grief, sometimes the best thing we can say is nothing. Just come and sit and be with a person, do whatever they need. Unlike Job's wife, who said, curse God and die. So then after a week, one of his friends basically said, then Job started saying, I cursed the day I was born, I just want to die. So one of his friends came and said, this all happened because you must have sinned, because we know that God only does good to good and evil to evil. And of course, we have many times when we're good and terrible things happen. Yes, there is a correlation. Sometimes when we do well, things go well. God does bless the righteous, and he does punish the unrighteous, but not always. And sometimes the world has natural consequences. As I was saying in a previous session, if you have a 1,000-pound, a vehicle that's thousands of pounds moving at a high speed and it runs you over, it's going to hurt. So this world has got gravity and natural consequences. But this whole book is basically talking about why has this terrible thing happened. And sometimes we don't get to know why the terrible thing happened. But the other thing that I've said yesterday, and I'm probably going to say it every day that we read this, we're allowed to complain to God. And if I understand what I'm about to read, his friend is going to say, you shouldn't be complaining to God. You absolutely can complain to God. And complaining to God is actually an act of faith, because it says that you believe God is there and that God can hear you and that God cares about what you're going through. So it is okay to complain when things are awful. So chapter 6 of Job, he is now responding to his friend who was talking yesterday, his friend Eliphaz, who was saying, you must have sinned. Chapter 6. Then Job answered, oh, that my vexation were weighed and all my calamity laid in the balances, for then it would be heavier than the sand of the sea. Therefore my words have been rash, for the arrows of the Almighty are in me. My spirit drinks their poison. The terrors of God are arrayed against me. By the way, all of this is in poetic form. Verse 5. Does the wild ass bray over its grass, or the ox low over its fodder? Can that which is tasteless be eaten without salt? Or is there any flavor in the juice of mallows? My appetite refuses to touch them. They are like food that is loathsome to me. And I have a little footnote on the juice of mallows. They're not actually sure what the word. This is a very ancient book, was written a very long time ago. And is there any flavor in the juice of something? So they put mallows, but who knows what the actual word means. And it's actually uncertain what they mean about the food being loathsome. Verse 8. Oh, that I might have my request, and that God would grant me my desire, that I would please God to crush me, that he would let loose his hand and cut me off. This would be my consolation. I would even exult in unrelenting pain, for I have not denied the words of the Holy One. What is my strength, that I should wait? And what is my end, that I should be patient? Is my strength the strength of stones, or is my flesh bronze? In truth, I have no hope, no help in me, and any resource is driven from me. He's saying, I'm very weak. What's the point? You ought to just kill me. Verse 14, those who withhold kindness from a friend forsake the fear of the Almighty, which could potentially be a little bit of a rebuke to Eliphaz. You should have been kind to me. You are forsaking the fear of God if you're not being kind to me. Verse 15, my companions are treacherous, like a torrent bed, like freshets that pass away, that run dark with ice, turbid with melting snow. In time of heat they disappear. When it is hot they vanish from their place. The caravans turn aside from the course. They go up into the waste and perish. The caravans of Tema look. The travelers of Sheba hope. He's saying that they're like a water course that melts and goes away. It runs when the snow runs off, and then people go look for water, and there is no water. That's what his friends are like. They're like not much there, and very disappointing. Verse 20, and so he's talking about these people coming to look for water and not finding any. Verse 19, the caravans of Tema look, the travelers of Sheba hope. They are disappointed because they were confident. They come there and are confounded. Such now have you become to me. You see my calamity and are afraid. So this is what you guys are like for me. I am having all these terrible things, and you are afraid. And you are like no comfort. You're like a dry stream bed with no water. Verse 22, have I said, make me a gift, or from your wealth offer a bribe for me, or save me from an opponent's hand, or ransom me from the hand of oppressors? Teach me, and I will be silent. Make me understand how I have gone wrong. How forceful are honest words. But your reproof, what does it reprove? Do you think that you can reprove words as if the speech of the desperate were wind? You would even cast lots over the orphan and bargain over your friend. So you came and you reproved me for being a sinner, but it's not, why do you reprove just words? It's not fair. You would cast lots over the orphan. Verse 28, but now be pleased to look at me, for I will not lie to your face. Turn, I pray, let no wrong be done. Turn now, my vindication is at stake. Is there any wrong on my tongue? Cannot my taste discern calamity? He says, have I done anything wrong? He's not done anything wrong. He's not said anything wrong. It's not fair. Chapter 7. Do not human beings have a hard service on earth? And are not their days like the days of a laborer, like a slave who longs for the shadow, and like laborers who look for their wages? So I am allotted months of emptiness, and nights of misery are appointed to me. When I lie down, I say, when shall I arise? But the night is long, and I am full of tossing until dawn. My flesh is clothed with worms and dirt. My skin hardens and breaks out again. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and come to their end without hope. So now he's basically talking to God instead of to his friends, and saying he is weak. He is just not going to live very long. There's no hope, though. Verse 7, remember that my life is a breath. My eye will never again see good. The eye that beholds me will see me no more. While your eyes are upon me, I shall be gone. As the cloud fades and vanishes, so those who go down to Sheol do not come up. They return no more to their houses, nor do their places know them any more. It says, just like clouds disappear, people disappear. We all go take our turn, and we go down to the grave, and we don't come back up again. Verse 11, therefore I will not restrain my mouth. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Am I the sea or the dragon that you set a guard over me? When I say, my bed will comfort me, my couch will ease my complaint, then you scare me with dreams and terrify me with visions, so that I would choose strangling and death rather than this body. I loathe my life. I would not live forever. Let me alone, for my days are a breath. He's still talking to God. He's saying, my life is so short. I think, well, I'll go get some rest. I'll sleep. And then he has such terrible dreams that it's just as bad. And he would rather die than be in the body that he's in. Verse 17, what are human beings that you make so much of them, that you set your mind on them? This is also one of the famous verses from Job. The idea, why should the God of the universe pay any attention to human beings and put God's mind on them? Verse 18, visit them every morning, test them every moment. Will you not look away from me for a while? Let me alone until I swallow my spittle. If I spin, what do I do to you, you watcher of humanity? Why have you made me your target? Why have I become a burden to you? Why do you not pardon my transgression and take away my iniquity? For now I shall lie in the earth. You will seek me, but I shall not be. So again, talking to God, asking God, why don't you forgive my sin? And I'm going to die, and then I'm going to be gone, so why not? Chapter 8. Now we have our second friend. The first one was Eliphaz. The next one is Bildad. And I'm hoping to get through Bildad and Job's response so we can go back and forth more appropriately. Chapter 8. Then Bildad the Shuhite. Okay, this is a very old joke. Who was the shortest person in the Bible? It's Bildad, because he's only as tall as a shoe, the Shuhite. It's a very bad joke. Answered, how long will you say these things, and the words of your mouth be a great wind? Does God pervert justice, or does the Almighty pervert the right? If your children sinned against him, he delivered them into the power of their transgression. So if your children sinned, then he killed them because they sinned. How a terrible thing to say to somebody who's just lost all of his children, all 10 of his children. Verse 5, if you will seek God and make supplication to the Almighty, if you are pure and upright, surely he will rouse himself for you and restore you to your rightful place. Though your beginning was small, your latter days will be very great. For inquire now of bygone generations, and consider what their ancestors have found. For we are but of yesterday, and we know nothing, for our days on earth are but a shadow. Will they not teach you, and tell you, and utter words out of their understanding? So, look to the old people, and won't they tell you things? Verse 11, can papyrus grow where there is no marsh? Can reeds flourish where there is no water? Yet, while yet in flower and not cut down, they will wither before any other plant. Such are the paths of all who forget God. The hope of the godless shall perish. So if you forget God, you're like a reed trying to grow where there's no water. It's not going to work. You're going to die. Their confidence is gossamer. A spider's house is their trust. A spider's house their trust. If one leans against its house, it will not stand. If one lays hold of it, it will not endure. Verse 16, the wicked thrive before the sun, and their shoots spread out over the garden. Their roots twine around the stone heap. They live among the rocks. If they are destroyed from their place, then it will deny them, saying, I've never seen you. See, these are their happy ways, and out of the earth still others will spring. So, the evil people seem to flourish, but when they're gone, more of them come. Verse 20, see, God will not reject a blameless person, nor take the hand of evildoers. He will yet fill your mouth with laughter, and your lips with shouts of joy. Those who hate you will be clothed with shame, and the tent of the wicked will be no more. So if you are righteous, then you're going to come back out of this, and you're going to be okay. Chapter 9. Then Job answered, indeed I know that this is so. So he actually does answer. The last feels like Job hardly listened to what Eliphaz said, but now he is responding to Bildad. Indeed, I know that this is so, but how can a mortal be just before God? If one wished to contend with him, one could not answer him once in 1,000. He is wise in heart and mighty in strength. Who has resisted him and succeeded? He who removes mountains, and they do not know it, when he overturns them in his anger, who shakes the earth out of its place, and its pillars tremble, who commands the sun, and it does not rise, who seals up the stars, who alone stretched out the heavens and trampled the waves of the sea, who made the Bear and Orion and Pleiades and the chambers of the south. And he's saying, this is God who moves mountains. He shakes the earth. He made the stars, made the Big Dipper and Orion and Pleiades. Verse 10, who does great things beyond understanding and marvelous things without number. Look, he passes by me, and I do not see him. He moves on, but I do not perceive him. He snatches away. Who can stop him? Who will say to him, what are you doing? Who will say to God, God does what God does, and God is the one that created everything and controls everything. Verse 13, God will not turn back his anger. The helpers of Rahab bowed beneath him. How can I answer him, choosing my words with him? Though I am innocent, I cannot answer him. I must appeal for mercy to my accuser. If I summoned him and he answered me, I do not believe that he would listen to my voice, for he crushes me with a tempest and multiplies my wounds without cause. He will not let me get my breath, but fills me with bitterness. So if God were to come and actually listen to Job, Job would not be able, he wouldn't have the breath to answer God. He wouldn't have the strength because God is crushing him. Verse 19, if it is a contest of strength, he is the strong one. If it is a matter of justice, who can summon him? I can't ask for God to come. Well, he can ask for God to come, but he certainly cannot summon God, demand God. This is the thing. We do like to demand God do things, and we have no power over God. We cannot demand. We can ask. We can hope. We can pray. But we cannot demand God do things, and we cannot summon God to us. Verse 20, though I am innocent, my own mouth would condemn me. Though I am blameless, he would prove me perverse. I am blameless. I do not know myself. I loathe my life. It is all one. Therefore I say, he destroys both the blameless and the wicked. When disaster brings sudden death, he mocks at the calamity of the innocent. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covers the eyes of its judges. If not he, then who is it? So there's no justice. God must be covering the eyes of the people who make decisions. And if it's not God who's doing it, then why are the judges blind and doing things so terribly? Verse 25, my days are swifter than a runner. They flee away. They see no good. They go by like skiffs of reed, like an eagle swooping on the prey. If I say, I will forget my complaint, I will put off my sad countenance and be of good cheer. I become afraid of all my suffering, for I know you will not hold me innocent. I shall be condemned. Why then do I labor in vain? If I wash myself with soap and cleanse my hands with lye, yet you will plunge me into filth, and my own clothes will abhor me. For he is not a mortal as I am, that I might answer him, that we should come to trial together. There is no umpire between us, who might lay his hand on us both. If he were to take his rod away from me, and not let dread of him terrify me, then I would speak without fear of him, for I know I am not what I thought to be. Oh my gosh, there's so much there, and I really wanted to do one more chapter. It's short. We're going to do one more chapter. But he's basically saying, I have no strength, and I have no power, and I can't summon God. And even if I did find the strength to be cheerful, it wouldn't matter. Coming before God, all of us are not righteous. When face to face with the righteousness of God, all of us fall very short. Chapter 10. I loathe my life. I think this should say I hate my life, which is, of course, an expression that people use these days. I hate my life. I loathe my life. I will give free utterance to my complaint. I will speak in the bitterness of my soul. I will say to God, do not condemn me. Let me know why you contend against me. Does it seem good to you to oppress, to despise the work of your hands, to favor the schemes of the wicked? So if he could ask God, he would ask God, why are you being so mean to me? And he would say, why would you do this thing and support the bad people and be so mean to the good one? Verse 4, do you have eyes of flesh? Do you see as humans see? Are your days like the days of mortals, or your years like human years? That you seek out my iniquity and search for my sin. Although you know that I am not guilty, and there is no one to deliver out of your hand. Your hands fashioned and made me, and now you turn and destroy me. So God formed me, and now God is trying to destroy me. Verse 9, remember that you fashioned me like clay, and will you turn me to dust again? Will you not pour me out like milk, and curdle me like cheese? You clothed me with skin and flesh, and knit me together with bones and sinews. You have granted me life and steadfast love, and your care has preserved my spirit. Yet these things you hid in your heart. I know that this was your purpose. If I sin, you watch me, and do not acquit me of my iniquity. If I am wicked, woe to me. If I am righteous, I cannot lift up my head, for I am filled with disgrace, and look upon my affliction. Bold as a lion, you hunt me. You repeat your exploits against me. You renew your witnesses against me, and increase your vexation toward me. You bring fresh troops against me. So he's talking to God, and he's saying that God has created him, but God is also crushing him and bringing everything against him, and is not fair. And if he was wicked, maybe he would do better, but because he's righteous, he knows that he cannot stand before God without feeling it. Verse 18, why did you bring me forth from the womb? Would that I had died before any eye had seen me, and were as though I had not been carried from the womb to the grave. Are not the days of my life few? Let me alone, that I may find a little comfort, before I go, never to return, to the land of gloom and deep darkness, the land of gloom and chaos, where the light is like darkness. So God, leave me alone so that I can have at least a little bit of peace before I go and never come back because I die. So I do usually try to keep these under 20 minutes, but I also wanted to get through so many chapters because the pattern within the book of Job, the friend speaks, Job answers. The friend speaks, Job answers. And so now hopefully we're into that rhythm where in our next session we will pick up with the next friend whose name is Zophar, hear what he says, hear Job's answer. And in many of Job's answers, he starts by answering the friend, and then he's talking to God. And that's sort of, there's a chapter break at that point. When Job was written, of course, there were not originally verses or chapters. Those were added later so that we could find things more easily. So next session we'll begin with chapter 11 and the next friend and what he has to say to Job. I did a lot of the commentary at the beginning of the video. The fancy theological term for all of this is theodicy. Why do bad things happen, and what does it mean? Does God cause these things? Does God allow these things? And people have been wrestling with hard things in their life, literally as long as there's been people. Because there are days when things are not fair. And sometimes we know why, and most of the time we do not know why. And sometimes there's not even a reason, or if there is a reason, we don't get to know the reason. I know for some of the things that happened 15 years ago, it's like, oh, why did this terrible thing happen? 15 years later, I'm actually really glad these terrible things happened. But I wasn't very glad at the time because they were so painful. But 15 years later, now did God cause those things? Did God allow those things? I don't know. But I know that God used those things to work in my life to make me a different person than what I was. And I'm so grateful to be where I am, and I'm so grateful to what God is doing and teaching me. And I think with age comes the perspective, the wisdom that says, okay, this terrible thing is happening. This terrible thing is not permanent, or maybe it is, but I will learn from it, and there's more to life than the terrible things. There's also good things. So some things to think about. And now may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May the Lord look at you with favor and give you peace. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Go in peace. Like, subscribe, comment. I hope you're not dealing with too many terrible things just now. See you next time.